a.m. Time to convene the Roy City Council meeting for this evening. The first item is welcome and a roll call. All council members are present this evening. We will now ask for a moment of silence. Councilmember Dandoy, and then the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Dandoy.
Thanks, Mayor. If you'll enter a moment of silence with me, please. Thank you. We'd like to turn the time over, Mayor, to the Weeblos Dens 375 and 474. Julie, we'll go ahead and turn the time over to you.
Color guard attention. Will the audience please rise? Color guard advance. Color guard post colors. Will the audience please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard note 2. Color guard dismissed. The audience may be seated.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen and council, the first item this evening is going to be presentation of the fiscal year 2017 audit report. Ms. Spencer.
Mayor and council, we're happy to say that we finally got the 2017 audit completed. It was done by Litz & Company, Brett Litz being the owner over there, and so we're happy to say it was a clean report and no comments, no findings on the report, but I'd like to turn the time over to Brent and his staff to present the audit to you. And at the end, if we could just get a motion to accept the audit, then we'll divvy that out to everybody we need to send it out to. Thank you.
Mayor, council members, it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. We have some presentations to show you to kind of go through the audit report in a visual format. How do I advance it, Kathy?
Just the arrow.
Just that one? Okay. We will figure out the IT part of it here, but as we're going, first of all, as Kathy mentioned, you have 3 auditors' reports bound inside your comprehensive annual financial report. All of them give you clean opinions on the numbers contained in the document, indicating that the numbers represent what happened financially here at the city for the last fiscal period, and also that the report itself is in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So we commend you on that. Rather than dive into detailed numbers, what we will do is, let's postpone that. Okay. What I thought we would do is just go over the revenues and expenses in a very general format to kind of show you where the money comes from to fund the city. As would be expected, you can see that 65% of your revenue to run the governmental type funds, not the utilities, but the governmental type funds, comes from taxes, property sales and franchise tax. The next big share are charges for services, 14%, and then intergovernmental fees are about 9%, and then others making up the rest, very small amounts. And then as we look at where the money is spent, we can see that 45% of the dollars coming in for the governmental activities are spent on public safety. General government is at 18%, but public works is at 22%, 14% for parks and recreations, and then some of the others are much smaller pieces of the pie. The other thing that's important is to determine whether there's enough financial reserves to carry you forward into the next fiscal period so that you're not just nip and tuck on everything. And this particular bar chart shows that your fund balances, those reserves that you have ample fund balances to carry you into the next fiscal period. So you're in a very good liquidity situation. So I would commend the council on its budgetary process and keeping it a sound fiscal based budget. The next thing I'll show you is some comparisons. You know, it's hard to show you these things without comparing you to some of the other municipalities around, so we'll show you a few of those, but each one has a unique circumstance, and I'm sure you're gonna see your neighbor just to the east of you. Riverdale, for example, 72% of its entire budget comes from sales tax revenue, whereas Roy here, only 28% comes from sales tax. So you can kind of compare yourself to some of the other municipalities, see if you're in line with things that you want to be in line with, or if there are factors beyond your control, such as an abundance of retailers or a lack thereof, so to speak. But along with Riverdale, everybody points to Riverdale and says they want it, but if you look at it, you'll also see on their public safety line item, they have to devote a lot more dollars to public safety to respond to those retailers that come into their community. So it has its plus and its minuses. So we just throw this out there for your edification and your utilization. So with that, we appreciate your time tonight. Be glad to answer any questions you have. If not, we'll turn it back over to the council.
Council, any questions?
Motion to accept the fiscal year 2017 audit report.
Second.
Have a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Marge seconded it.
Marge seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lutz. Next item on the agenda, this is a time for public comments. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council, this is a time to come forward to the mic. Please give your name and address and go ahead for the record and go ahead. Is there anyone out there tonight that would like to address the council with any issues, any problems? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the next item. These are consent items. These are items that at the city council, they're to be routine and will be enacted by a single motion. If discussion is desired on any particular consent item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda, and considered separately. First item is approval of the October 3rd, 2017 City Council minute meetings. Next item is approval of the October 10th, 2017 City Council work session minutes. And the third item is approval of the October 17th, 2017 City Council minutes. Any discussion, council? If not, we'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Hilton, second by Councilmember Yeoman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item. Gives us great pleasure at this time to announce the appointment of a city manager for Roy City. We've had an acting city manager for quite some time, and he's done a good job. And so the council tonight, I would entertain a motion for the appointment of our city manager, Jason Polson. Council.
Mayor, I make that motion to appoint Jason Polson as Roy City Manager.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This will be a roll call vote? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Jason, you're it. Thank you.
It's all on your shoulders.
You know, one thing I found out, folks, is that this young city manager thinks outside the box. It's not just given to him and say, hey, get this done. He looks at the best ways to get it done most efficiently. So, Jason, I commend you on that. You've stepped right in and filled a big void, okay? Thank you.
Jason, introduce your family.
I don't have any family members here tonight, so we can just go to the next one.
Mayor, if we could swear him in right now, and then we could go forward
Let's
with
do
the
that.
introduction.
You gonna take care of that,
Amy will.
Amy? This will not be the first time that she has had discussions with him about. Thank you. Come on up. Welcome aboard, and it has taken us a while to make this official, but he has done a very, very good job while he's been the temporary city manager. Now he's got big shoes to fill, hasn't he, Dave?
I have no doubt he can fill it without question.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Mayor,
next.
I guess I will introduce my family. I have a couple people.
What?
So if my mom and dad want to stand up,
All right.
Mom, Pop, Polson.
that's Mom and Pa. Sarah,
Sarah.
a good-looking lady.
Her name's Sarah?
Gina. My sister Rebecca and her husband Ryan. If you want to stand up.
All right.
And then my sisters, or my wife's sister Mandy, daughter Samantha, son Zach, his girlfriend Kim, Jake, which is my daughter Michaela's boyfriend, and then Ryan in the back. You want to stand up, Ryan?
Hey, Ryan.
And that'd be great. And if I could have Mr. Polson come to the mic. Mr. Royce Polson, will you come to the mic?
You never know what's going to happen here.
Does he have the authority to do this?
I was kind of wondering.
It must have been exciting to raise that young man.
He thinks outside the box.
So, super good dude. So, I just wanted to say that.
Okay, I didn't prepare a 2.5 minute talk, so
Well, Jason, it's nice to have it official, and it's nice to have your family and know that you have the support. I have a wonderful family that will support you in the endeavors with Royce City. So, welcome aboard. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
I think you lost my bet, Jason, because you did get quite emotional and teary-eyed like I knew you would. So.
I was holding back.
You did good, though.
Just leave a box of Kleenexes over there all the time.
Jason, I just want to echo again. I'm proud of everything you've done for Royce City, your accomplishments at the fire station. That's one of the reasons why you're here. We want you to do the exact same things and take us to great heights as a city manager. And I'm proud of you. I look forward to working for you in the coming years.
Yeah. Yeah, same. You've done great.
Council, any other comments today?
As acting city manager, he just hit the road running, and it's just been great.
I think we're in good hands, city manager, so keep it up.
Thanks.
Keep thinking outside the box, okay?
Got it.
Thank you. Next item tonight, folks, is the canvass of the 2017 municipal general election results. This makes it official, right, Amy?
Yes, it
Okay.
So, as you know, we had our unofficial results, and the county has done all of the provisions provisional ballots, any of the ballots that had a postmark that met the date requirement. So there's 13,529 active voters. Ballots returned and counted were 5,081. Ballots returned undeliverable were 298, and ballots not counted were 26. So, provisional ballots, we had 22, and of those, 7 were not counted. 6 because they were not registered, and 1 had a residency issue. So, sorry. As I put these up, these are the official results. On the attached report, it shows you the registered voters, cards cast, and percentages. The times counted, so the first number is the number of ballots for the race that were counted. And the second number is the number of active registered voters eligible to vote for that race. And then the percentage listed is our voter turnout. So we have 2 open city council spots, 1 mayor, and those are the official results.
Do we have to ratify this or anything? Or is it just?
Nope.
That's okay.
No. You know, I wanted to say at this time, I appreciate the folks that went out and voted, but I'm extremely proud of the people that threw their hat in the ring to run for office. It's not an easy choice to make, and sometimes, you know, the criticism becomes hot and heavy, but the people that have thrown their hats in and decided to run for office in Roy City have been outstanding, and I commend them for that. And it was a good race. It was a good, fair race. And so the candidates are being complimented, and those that are going to hold the seats, you have some mighty, mighty big shoes to fill. So looking forward to it and working with you, okay? Council? Okay.
I think you have a signature on while you do it.
Dave, you got anything, Dave?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Yep, congratulations.
Congratulations. And Mr. Dandoy, I wish you nothing but the best, okay?
Thanks, Mayor.
Just hang this minute.
Next item on the agenda, consideration of resolution number 1743, approving a job description and salary range for Parks Department lead man.
So we'll have
Travis?
Travis Flint, yeah.
Mayor and city council members, I am pleased to be here tonight to discuss a new position, Parks Leadman position. We've mirrored the job description and salary range with that in Public Works. It's a position that is allowing us to create some incentive in the department to allow people to move up. We funded the position internally. We have funded the position internally. We haven't had to come back and ask for any additional monies to do it. We would be the water department, the street department, building maintenance, all have a leadman within the department, and it will be a valuable asset within our department. So I ask for your support in that resolution.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 17-43, approving the job description and salary range for a Parks Department leadman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Beecraft?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman?
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya?
Aye.
Councilmember Danwood?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item, consideration of resolution number 17-44, approving a lease agreement with Pacific Corp.
Mayor, I'll handle this unless Ross, but This is a renewal of a lease agreement that we have with Pacific Corp, and it allows us to use the detention pond as a public park down there. So we've been doing this for years, and it allows us that use. They continue on with the property, and then we pay an initial payment of $17,000 approximately, and then $5,000 a year after that. So.
Okay, is this?
We just asked, it is a roll call vote, and we'd ask for your approval.
Mayor, if I can, just real quick, also add, part of this agreement is that the dog park we have on 5700 South, if you guys will remember, we had a discussion on the property just to the south of this that we would like to lease from them for parking, so we don't have all the parking on the roads and people parking in front of people's homes. Talking with Ross, somebody already has a lease agreement on that with Rocky Mountain Power. So I believe Ross was going to check with the current people that lease that and see if maybe they're not using it, if we could use it, and then maybe take over the lease or redo the lease so we can utilize that for parking to get people off the streets.
We need to look at that and see if we can move forward in a timely fashion. You know, it becomes a parking issue and a parking problem down there for the residents. So if we can move forward with that, keep us apprised of what's going on, Jason, and let's move forward and get it done. Okay?
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we approve resolution number 17-44, approving a lease agreement with Pacific Corp.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Tafoya?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Beecraft?
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman?
Aye.
Councilmember Dandoy?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, consideration of resolution number 1745, approving the reimplementation of the Police Master Officer Program. Please come forward.
Mayor, Council, Mr. City Manager. This is a program that we came to you last year to suspend. We didn't like the way the program was designed. The idea of the Master Officer Program is that we want to encourage officers to continue improving their skills, improving their knowledge, and being that example to younger officers. We didn't feel that the prior program did that, so we asked you to suspend it, and then we've taken our time to put something together that does that. We not only now reward them with this and require that they gain additional skills, continue to get those skills, but we also require them to maintain a fitness level. Not just once a year, they have to maintain it throughout the year and participate in a number of different things. I think it's a much better program. It's a program that we've had in place in Roy, I believe, for about 10 years. It was just suspended so that we could improve it, make it more, so that it was to Roy City's benefit, and something that the officers could be proud in achieving, which the other program was very heavy on instructor reward for being an instructor, and what we ended up with were a lot of instructors who weren't teaching, and there were no additional skills being gained. This one completely changes that, and so that's what this is a change in that direction.
Good deal.
Motion to approve resolution 1745, approving the reimplementation of the Police Master Officer Program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Council, roll call vote.
Councilmember Yeoman?
Aye.
Councilmember Dandoy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya?
Aye.
Councilmember Beecraft?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And can I just publicly congratulate the new city manager?
I commend you on that also, Carl. That Master Officer Program creates a desire for the people to step up and show some improvement, and the master officers are the ones that the younger troops look up to and say, how do we get the job done? So I commend you for implementing that again.
Our officers are actually excited about having more stringent requirements for it.
Okay.
Good deal.
Okay, reports and discussion. City Manager's report. New guy on the block.
Okay. So I do have a lot, just because it's been a month since it seems like we've last time we met. So last night's tree lighting ceremony was a huge success. I thought it went really well, and I did send an email out to you all and all the staff at Roy to thank all the hands that had a big part in that. It takes a lot of people's effort. And Ross, your public works, the lights are fantastic. And I think a lot of people like to come see the lights. So, so good job to all those that helped. If you guys will get your calendars out, got a few dates for you to mark on your calendars. So on the 28th, our planning, Steve Parkinson sent you guys an email to the Planning Commission and Council, City Council, on a special work session to go over the new Focus Roy plan. It's going to go to the Planning Commission first, but we thought we would get you guys that are decision makers all together in the same room and kind of go over it, look at it, see what you like, see what you want us to change. Once you guys meet, then Steve will take it to the Planning Commission once you guys make your changes, and then it'll come back to you guys for approval.
Let's see if I understand your comment. Is this a joint meeting?
Yep.
And
So,
then-
yeah, Planning Commission and Council will meet on the 28th, along with Randy Sant. Randy Sant will come as well.
That's 6, right?
Yep, yep, at the A and B room at the Hope Center.
Okay.
Once you guys make all of your changes as a body, as a group, with both joint, then he'll go back, make some changes, then bring that same document back to the Planning Commission first, then to the council.
And you're seeing that to be collectively making those adjustments, or do we do it independently?
No, you'll do it collectively. On December 6th is the administrative lunch for Christmas at Ruby River at 11:30. On December 12th, that's our mandatory employee meeting at Roy High School in the Little Theater, and it's at 5:30. The 12th. December 12th. And I'm sorry, Mayor and Council, but that's you guys too.
That's at 5:30.
Yeah, 5:30. And then on the 13th of December, City Council, Planning Commission, and Department Heads Christmas dinner, 6:30 p.m. at Maddox. And that's on the 13th. And I think Mayor Cragen's buying. I think he's footing the bill on this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bar J Wranglers is on December 14th, 7 p.m. at Roy High. Okay, so this one's kind of off the cuff a little bit. In January of this last year, we had a strategic planning meeting in Salt Lake. And I just kind of wanted to update you guys on kind of where we were at for our goals for 2017 and up to 2018. So we're almost 12 months in, 11 months in. So if you guys remember, our 5 topics were community pride, economic development, infrastructure, workforce development, and traffic. Those were our 5 key initiatives that we wanted to try to work on. Under each one, we have 3 lists under each one, and I just kind of, maybe you want to know where we're at year to date. And we've actually knocked off quite a bit. So complete the first phase of North Park in 2017. We're really close on completing that first part, and I'll go over some of the playground equipment in a little bit. Most of the landscaping is complete, sprinklers are done, and we'll have a really smooth transition into phase 2 with the few modifications that we made to where we won't have such delay for phase 2. We can actually go right into phase 2. Continuing beautification efforts. We've done a lot of beautification, continued with our beautification committee. The street lights have been going up. We've got the Christmas banners on some of the street lights. We have completed the waterfall in Harmons, and that looks really super good. And I like Travis's ideas of making it kind of a theme for October, November, December, and I think a lot of communities really, really likes that too. Also, if you noticed in front of Burger Bar, we're facing that with the rock. So a lot of good things going with the beautification. So just wanted you to know that. The third part was amplify our code enforcement efforts. And we've done that. And we've made those improvements and changes with staff. And we're well on our way. We've got 50 new cases filed within the last couple weeks of code enforcement guy going out, making citation issues to try to fix some of that blight. So really in our community pride, we've hit every single one of those three as one of our strategic goals. Economic development, our meeting on the 28th is a big meeting to work on that economic development. That's the Roy Focus Plan that we really need to help with our UTA district and also 1900 West, so that's going to be great. Infrastructure, this will be done probably in this upcoming budget, so we're still working on that. Workforce development, implement a step increase plan and a wage compression. We did that. Trainings, we did the tuition reimbursement. We put that in just a month ago, and we've already had a bunch of people apply for tuition reimbursement, so they're starting to get the training. Traffic, working on 5600 South project, commission a general plan and a transportation plan. So just an update on the transportation plan. We do have Wasatch Civil, our engineer company, working on that transportation plan. I did talk with Mark Miller today, and it is in full swing. It's going to take a couple months to do. But talking with the Chamber of Commerce, I had a meeting with them today, and they're kind of big on that progression too. So as soon as we get that transportation plan, we can try to give that to those legislators and get it into those key people to get UDOT to move that 5600 South widening project up. I did look at our scheduled date for 5600 South, and we are still in phase 2, which is 2028 to 2032 area, and that's just not going to work for us. We got a lot of traffic on 56. East and west is really kind of a pain. But so as soon as we get the transportation plan, we'll get with those lobbyists and legislators and get that up so we can get that going.
Jason, let me comment on that also. Get with Weber County, Doug Larson in Weber County. He's over transportation issues in there, and there is some funding available for the cities that will apply and receive funding for some of these studies and some of these projects. Also, I would encourage the citizens in the community to get involved in this. Contact our legislators. Mike Schultz is in the House of Representatives, and Senator Buxton, and both of these folks sit on transportation committees in the House and the Senate. And I'm going to tell you what, to be honest, in the years I've been on this council, which has been a couple, I've not seen much activity north of the Davis County line on our state roads and state commitment. So I would encourage citizens, get involved, get a hold of our elected representatives, and say we need some help. That's 5600 has been since 1982 on the drawing board for completion. And unless the community gets involved, the citizens get active, we're going to face an uphill battle, folks.
Yep, thanks, Mayor. So just give you an idea, that's where we're at with some of our strategic plan. We are moving through some of it, so just to kind of give you an update of where we're at, check off some of those boxes. Anybody from North Park area? Okay, you'll like this. So with North Park, we had the North Park Town Hall meeting to discuss the playground, and that's actually part of our strategic plan to work on North Park in phase one. So Travis talked with Taft, who's designing it. Everything's going great. We're not really delaying anything. The reason that you don't see any playground equipment going up is we've modified it so much that there's a lot of new moving parts and a lot of pieces to it, to the new playground option that community wanted for North Park, which requires new engineering and pass-offs of the playground safety people. And that's where it's at right now. As soon as we had that council member, we decided to go with it. We showed a couple of the options. We ordered it the very next day. So hopefully, once it comes back and everything's cleared on the engineer part and the safety piece, then they can order it. And hopefully by January, you'll see us start to put the playground up. We don't need grass in to put the playground up because it's in a separate area. So, and they even said they'll be putting it up in the weather. So weather dependent. Hopefully by January, February, the playground is all done. It should be really good. Nobody will have a playground like it. So it should be pretty unique to Roy. So that's just kind of an update on the playground equipment. So U.S. Senator Mike Lee is coming to Roy on the 28th of November. Senator Lee's mobile office will be here from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And basically that's for any Roy resident that wants to come share their concerns and any issues that they may have. So, okay, out in our parking lot, out in the main parking lot, we poured a little cement pad that we are going to house the new mailbox, the U.S. Postal mailbox, utility drop-off box, and the court payment box. So it's going to be in a far much better place instead of trying to make that little curve and try to get in close. Most of the time you see people have to get out of their car to put it in their mailbox. So we wanted to make it easier for them. So building maintenance with Brandon Edwards and Doug and Ben have worked really good on getting that done. So thanks to you guys for doing that. I think it's going to be a lot better for the Roy residents. So I'll also put that in the newsletter so people know that it's there. And I think that's all I got. Sorry so long.
Council.
I have three things. Okay, beautification. We're having a meeting on the 8th, and you and I attended a meeting on the bags. I think you ought to be at that meeting so that you can help us with that.
December 8th and 9th?
December 8th at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
If I'm moving by them. Christmas last night, I just want to let our public works people know I just was in awe at what you did. It was wonderful. I think it's the best one we've had in years and years. So thank you, thank you. And I would like to have a discussion. My last meeting at Public Works, I talked with Mike for a little while about parking on street in the wintertime. You look at, we now have on our ordinance no parking between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. but snows during the day too. And I just feel like we need to look at that and make a decision and make it possible that they can get the plowing done without having to worry about. They've had a lot of complaints of people that you buried my car and yet they want the streets cleaned. Can't have both. So
That's good. Well, to point that out, years ago, the same problem came up with vehicles parking on the streets, and Roy City passed an ordinance that from November 15th through the snow part of the season, we wouldn't allow parking on public streets. And it's been enforced, and when it is enforced, you know, it used to cost us a lot of money to replace knockdown mailboxes and vehicles that were covered with snow and the snow plow hit them. And these guys are out there doing a job in the night that's very, very dangerous. Usually most of them worked all day shifts before they go out and try and clean the streets off at night. So I would certainly encourage that we enforce the law that says, hey, after the November 15th, don't park your cars out on the street because we may have to clean those streets.
If I understand your point, I think the ordinance basically says no overnight parking.
Right.
So are we talking about now no parking on the streets anytime between November 15th and March 15th? Is that what we're talking about?
That's what I would like to see.
That was what the ordinance was intended for.
I think that's hard to do because, I mean, if I've got a party and I've got family coming over, you know what I mean? And so they've got to park somewhere. And so they've got to park out on the street, you know, while I've got a party or, you know, I've got somebody coming over. So I think it's hard to have that and have that enforced all, no parking at all on the street at any time. I mean,
It's mostly nighttime hours. That's when usually this road crews are out in the evening to plow the streets. And it was supposed to have been nighttime hours, as I recall.
I understand that. I understand that, yes,
understand
the
that
plows
too.
have to go around if there's vehicles, or the plows have to go around if there's something, you know, that's blocking the way. I think during the night is okay, but I think just no street parking, I think, is hard to enforce.
Is there
and
any
hard
way
to
we
do.
can do it so that if there is a snowstorm, no parking?
I was thinking about too, Marge, like, okay, no street parking during a snowstorm within 12 hours, but then say somebody gets cited, they go to court, how are you going to prove it was snowing at that time?
Yeah.
You know, and that makes it a little difficult, but it's a thought. I mean, to go some kind of median. It's worth a discussion to see if we could find something that could work.
Ross, I'd really like to maybe get your opinion with the guy in the snowplow removal. Is it a problem? Have we had a lot of instances?
Right.
Yeah.
So, just for the record then, can you help us, Ross? What is the time overnight that we have a concern where the ordinance basically says there's no overnight parking?
1 a.m. to 7.
1 to 7.
Okay. So from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., we're asking residents not to park on the streets between November 15th to March 15th. Okay. And I sense from the discussion, we think there might be some real concerns if we run a 24-hour restriction of parking in the streets for the points that Councilman Yeoman was suggesting. But I think the discussion also, if I understand, is there provisions that we can establish that says when there is heavy snow, that maybe there's some things that can be institutionalized as a result of heavy snow? Because your team has to clear those roads, and there is an argument to suggest is people parking on the street compromise your ability to perform that task.
Yeah, I was going to say, in Carling, I know that, when November 15th comes, your officers are around, putting on the white slips to say, okay, do you know that this vehicle cannot be parked anymore, and the winter times. How many fines, how many, situations have we had where they, people are parking out on the streets during these restriction times?
For the first couple weeks after it goes into effect, normally what we do is go by and put notices on.
Right.
And then after that, we start ticketing. We've already been out for the past week doing that. Of course, it takes, handling calls. I think it's between 11 and 11:07, something like that. In between handling calls, that's what they try to do, is get around and make sure they get things ticketed as they see them.
The newsletter says 1 to 7. That's what the newsletter. That's what's published in the newsletter.
I think it's on our webpage too, our website. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and right, you're coming right off of summer and fall. You know what I mean, where they're used to parking. But, I mean, the other thing is like, for instance, like I just was saying, if I've got a meeting or I've got a party and my family's coming and I know it's snowing, I do not know when those snowplows are coming to my area to shovel to say, okay, everybody go move your cars or they're going to get buried. So that's hard to know that if that happens. And I would hate to have, because it can't all fit in my driveway for a meeting or something that I'm having, to have them be ticketed.
So maybe a recommendation here, and I assume you're the liaison working with the Public Works, maybe a continuation of the conversation that says in the case there is in fact some type of a snow event, what kind of provisions can we work to help us to maintain those particular issues and see if there's a way to do that. I sense from the council there's a real reluctance to simply say no parking from the 15th of November to the 15th of March anytime. So that's, I think, too restrictive. But there might be some way by which we can still accommodate the needs, okay, of the residents, because they really want their streets plowed when there's, in fact, a need. And sometimes the cars, and to some extent, I will tell you, sometimes the garbage cans become a hindrance to that process. And so maybe if you could sit down and explore some options and come back with the council so we can have further this conversation. And then I suggest, Jason, Andy, this may be a legal issue somewhere in here. What are some things we might be able to get away with that will help us to make this work? I think that just requires you guys to explore some options.
One thing that brought that ordinance about years ago, folks, was we had snow plows that hit cars that were buried out in the street. And so at that time, the council took some action and says, move the cars off the street during the winter time so the snow plows can get out and do their job.
Yeah, I think it's good to come back. I think it might be just as simple as changing the hours, extending from 1 a.m. to say 3 till school gets out. And then from 3 to midnight, people could still park on the street for the families at home and stuff. Not that hard. I think we come up with a solution.
I also do that.
Yeah, that's a good,
Yes.
just extend those hours would probably be a good answer.
Just brainstorm, come back. We'll have an agenda item next meeting.
Thank you.
Council, any other issues?
None for me.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second?
I motion to adjourn.
He made it, you made it, Bob, he seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Council meeting is now adjourned.